Welcome to Find It in Fergus Falls. I'm Lisa Workman with the Fergus Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to share all kinds of information about things that are going to be on the ballot and election day and funding and sales tax and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to talk about a swimming pool and we're going to talk about camping. So Jean Bowman with the City of Fergus Falls, their new communications manager, will be joining us and we're going to share all the details with you. So stay tuned.
Do you love sports? Then Park Region wants you. We're looking for energetic and well-spoken individuals to announce the Ashby Aero Volleyball and Fergus Falls Otter football games on our local PRTV Now channels. If you're interested in these part-time positions, joining a fun, exciting work environment, contact our Human Resources Department at 218-826-8327.
Well, welcome back to Find It in Fergus Falls. Jean Bowman, the communications manager with the City of Fergus Falls, is joining us on the show today. Welcome to the new role. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had you as a guest on the show. We were talking about that. It's been a long time, and I don't know how we missed that, but now we've got an opportunity to share all kinds of information about things going on with the city, and you are the keeper of all facts, the guru of all communication, and pulling it all together and then sending it out to the masses.
That I am. There's a lot going on, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, we could literally do like a 3-hour show.
Oh, let's not.
But right, not today, not today. So today we're just going to focus on a couple different things. Primarily, we're wrapping up the month of October, and as we roll into the month of November, it is election time. You may have noticed maybe there's some signs out in yards, and you may have seen some ads and different things, but we're here to kind of sift through the information and present some facts about local elections. So let's talk first about the election.
Absolutely. So the election, as Lisa said, is coming up on Tuesday, November 8th. So that's just, I think, 18 days away. Does that sound about right?
It's a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's a short amount of time. And I know we're probably taped and continue to run. So it's November 8th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you're inside the city limits of Fergus Falls, you're in one of 4 wards. So Ward 1 voters will be voting at the public library in the community room.
That's Ward 1.
Ward 2, you vote in the YMCA small gym. And Ward 3 is at the Legacy Hall in M State. And Ward 4 is at the Bigwood Event Center. So that's that one's been at Hillcrest in years past, but that's at the Bigwood Event Center. And if you don't know which ward you're in, because there has been some changing.
Yep.
Check on the city's website, and there's a spot right there for election information, and you'll get the information I just shared. But you can also plug your address into the poll finder, and it'll tell you where you vote. So that's another good tip. And lastly, I'll just say that early voting is already going on. So if you happen to not be available November 8th, or you just don't want to deal with the crowds, you may go up to the Government Service Center and vote early. In fact, I've already voted.
Oh,
yeah.
Yay.
I
your
voted
sticker.
for you.
Okay, we can't start that now.
No. Oh, let's.
We're not even in the same district, so
No,
we're in
not.
the same area.
You don't live in the
I am not
city
in
boundaries,
city limits, so yeah.
Good. So yeah, that's the information on voting, and I would just pass on a word of thanks on behalf of Lynn Olson, who's the city's voting election official, and she just really appreciates everyone who's volunteered to be an election judge. That's really hard for her to find the number of people she needs to be at each ward, and there are state rules about balance in parties, and so it's all very lots of rules.
Right, lots of rules, and everything's kept open and up to date as far as abiding by all of those rules. We want to make sure that it is a fair and accurate election. So
Absolutely.
Again, with early voting going on, we're looking forward to seeing those results roll in, as the polls close. And I don't know, as I've gotten older in years, I think that's kind of a fun night to be paying attention to both online news as well as national news to see what's happening.
Yeah,
So
I know I subscribe to the Secretary of State's website, election results, and then it's like every 10 minutes refresh, and it's like, okay, well, I think I need to go to bed now.
Yeah. It's 1 in the
I'll be
morning.
surprised in the morning, right? Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, and with the election this year, it's not only voting for candidates for city council, county commissioner, state offices. The ballot is quite long, but there will be some special items that will be on the ballot for those that do live in Fergus Falls city limits. Let's talk about those projects.
Yes, so there are 2 different projects that require voter approval in order to go forward, and it would require the use of local option sales tax, which is the 5% that we use to pay for the library
Half
project.
a percent.
Half a
Yeah,
percent?
0.5%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cut.
See, it's so easy to get those, kind of twisted, but
Right.
so let's talk first about the projects, and then we'll dive deeper a little bit into the local option sales tax.
Sounds good. So the first project is the aquatic center. So this would be an outdoor swimming pool. The location would be up at Roosevelt Park, and that's the park that's right across from the Kennedy Secondary School, where people you remember going to the concerts in the park.
Right.
And now those, of course, are back behind the Kirkbride. So that park has 2 WPA structures.
What are WPA structures?
Works progress something.
Okay.
It's a whole it's a style of architecture from
Okay.
that period, and I should
So like
find out more
the
about
picnicky type
Yeah.
sheltery things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those stay. They're historic in
Yep,
nature.
okay.
Those will stay, and the skateboard park stays. The sledding hill stays. There have even been some disc golf holes that have been built recently, and those will stay as well.
Okay.
So the park will kind of be nestled in that northeast corner. The pool, excuse me. There are 2 pools. The first one is a 0 depth entry, kids.
Great for little kids.
Splashy area with those mushroom shaped fountains and splash features and slides and climbing walls. The other one is a lap pool.
Okay.
And it's only 4 lanes. It is not intended to be, the competition.
Sure.
No, not at all. It doesn't have the starting blocks or any of that. But some people just like for exercise to get out and swim
Right.
some laps. So the lap pool is a piece of that. There's a bathhouse. And in that building will be men's and women's changing area. There will be
Sure.
a family changing area. There will be concession stands, certainly a check-in area, a little office for the lifeguards when they need to rotate out of
Sure.
the sun and have their own area too. So that facility will be there as well. So that's kind of a look at the project itself. It is a $10.8 million project to build. So that's a big project. It is a big project.
Prices have gone up.
They have gone
dramatically.
up. That's a great point. This project has been worked on since 2017, and we've got a lot of questions from people. Well, what if you consider having it a different location, or how about downtown, or up
Right.
at the Kirkbride, or can we have 8 lanes, and how come it's not this deep? And those are all fabulous questions. But there have been a group of people who have worked on this for the last 5 years, and they've asked
Right.
all those questions.
Right.
And in fact, they wanted more elements, but then because bids came in really high, they had to scale it back. And in Fergus Falls, we're unfortunately used to having to scale things back a little bit in order to fit the appetite of the voter and the taxpayer. So
Sure.
we're really hopeful that the group has zeroed in on just the perfect project for the
Right.
pool.
And a big shout out and thank you to those who've been involved with this project. They were ready to launch some plans, and then this nasty COVID hit and things stalled out, but they've gotten back going again and again. It would be an asset and true amenity for the community. We are in the lakes area, but not everybody has access to a lake, and this would just be another option for folks, families and little kids and adults to enjoy swimming in the summertime. We can think about that a little bit now this fall.
Well, and I should have started this morning by sharing with your viewers that as a representative with the city, we can only educate viewers and voters,
Right.
much like the chamber. I can't be the cheerleader and say, vote yes. That's not our role. But with the pool, there is a vote yes group, and they're largely organized on Facebook. So if you're a vote yes fan, then I would encourage you to reach out to their group, and it's Meet at the Pool. And I know they're doing a great job staying
Right.
engaged and answering questions. And on the city's website, we have a playyourwayfergusfalls.com, and that directs directly to the page with the details about the projects on it. And on that page, you can ask a question and email that, and that comes into 2 of our email accounts, and we try to get back to everybody within about 24 hours answering those questions.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of questions on it, and there is some information that residents will be receiving in the mail or may have already received, but there'll be a nice little postcard that is informational in nature and just talks about the aquatic center as project number one, or one of the projects. I don't
Right.
want to, put them in order, but
Right.
this is
It's
one of the
first-
projects that'll
it's
be on the
first on the-
ballot.
it's first on the ballot. Yep.
So the aquatic center. So we touched everything on the first question on the ballot.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on then. So the aquatic center is one project, and it's separate,
It is a
an
separate
individual project, an individual question.
Right, and that's a good point, is that with the two projects, voters can vote for one project or the other project or both projects or neither projects.
Sure.
And that's kind of how we came up with the playyourway.com, because really how this turns out is in the hands of the voters. They get to decide
Yep.
whether or not either or both or neither of these projects goes forward. So
Right.
that's why we really appreciate the opportunity to help inform people in Fergus Falls.
Absolutely. Well, and then we should talk about project number 2, and that's improvements at D Lagoon Park. Let's talk a little bit about what that will look like.
Right. So the primary piece of the D Lagoon Park improvement is the campground. A lot of people in Fergus Falls have been out to the campground, or they've hosted family and friends who have visited the campground. Our campground is very old and primitive, and it needs
Rustic,
work.
right?
It's rustic. There you go. Or vintage.
Rustic and retro,
All those
vintage.
good words.
Yeah.
You sound like a marketer.
Yeah.
But the configuration of the tent and RV camping would be updated so that it's more efficient and that we'd have more spots. The biggest thing is related to the health codes, and the Department of Health requires campgrounds now to have updated shower houses, or to have a shower house. We have no shower facilities, and we don't have running water for toilets. Right now, there are just vault toilets out there. So
Doesn't make it for a long-term stay at all. Like you might be camping there for a couple nights, and
right.
time to move on.
And the thing that I'm really excited about, having been with Visit Fergus Falls, is that it'll have an updated reservation system.
Right.
It used
We
to-
get a lot of questions about that at the chamber office, for sure.
Right. I mean, it used to be sort of that first come, first serve. And I think, well, who in their right mind wants to show up at a campground, with their kids in tow and their camper and their dog and hope they have a spot to spend
Right.
the night? You just don't do that. So this will be much like the DNR state campgrounds, if you're familiar with that, where you just go online, you make your reservation, you pay electronically, and you're told which your camping spot is, and then you roll in when you roll in.
That'll
So-
be a fantastic addition that you won't see at the campsite, but it'll create a much better guest experience for
Yep.
people
Yep.
using the campsites too.
Yep.
And upgrading campgrounds, I mean, again, at the chamber office, we get a lot of questions about places to stay, whether it's for camping or hotels or different things like that. And so it'll be nice to be able to offer that. Should this, again, as you said before, this is in the hands of the residents and voters in Fergus Falls, should this pass. And it's more than just campground updates too.
It is. So people know G Lagoon Park is really a gem in our community,
Yes.
right there by the Central Lakes Trail. But there are also baseball fields, baseball, softball, soccer. The BMX track is out there, and archery. So the three of those that are getting some attention will be baseball, softball, and soccer. So the
Fantastic.
soccer field has no concession stand or bathroom right now. So if the
Darn.
little youth soccer kids are up there on that it's coming up on the hill there, and they've got a soccer game and they need to use the little kids room, they've got to go
It's a jaunt.
down the hill and across the road. And so that is not at all convenient. And of course, soccer's growing in our community. So
Absolutely.
those two pieces would be at the soccer field. The softball fields, now those are, if you imagine the building that's in the middle of the Four Diamonds, that's an ancient concession and restroom. So that would be updated. It doesn't need to be new, but that one would be updated. And then baseball gets some new lighting. In fact, softball gets new lighting too. And the new lighting will be more efficient. It'll be the energy efficient lights for games. So those will be updated too. So, those projects are a little less exciting. Nevertheless, they will help our community host tournaments and just make for a better player and fan experience when they're participating in those sports.
A lot of great updates then, and this is project number 2, the D Lagoon Park improvements.
Right.
And price tag on this, all these projects added together?
5.2 million.
Fantastic.
So a
So
little
2
bit
different
less.
projects.
Yep.
And then people think, well, how will this be paid for? Like, if the voters vote for it, what are they really voting on? They're not voting on whether they yeah, they are voting on whether they like the project or not. But the question is truly about the local option sales tax or the funding piece.
Right. So local option sales tax is is what the residents get to vote on. And if you vote yes for these projects, you're saying, I accept that sales tax in Fergus Falls will go up 0.5%, and that's 50 cents on a $100 purchase. So that's what the increase would be. And historically in Fergus Falls, we've found that to be, this is my opinion, a pretty painless way to pay for projects. It's how we paid for the community arena, ice arenas, and it's how we paid for the library renewal project. So those are, the nice thing about the sales tax instead of a property tax is that everybody who shops here, regardless of where they live, helps to pay for that project. We had a good question at one of our service club meetings, and that is, how much does Fergus Falls raise in a given year? And it's about $1.5 million a year we raise on that sales tax. So if you do the math and both of these projects pass, it could be out to 2037, depending on how sales go and how quickly taxes are raised.
But those numbers have been increasing too, because we keep an eye on that at the chamber of what the sales revenue is and what the sales tax collection is within the city, and we've been watching those numbers climb year after year. In fact, the library was paid off earlier than projected because of that. So more people are coming into Fergus Falls to spend money, and again, like you said, that spreads it out over more people versus just residents and businesses paying on a property tax. So this would be in lieu of that.
Right, absolutely. And the other thing is that a local option sales tax, once it's approved, has to sunset or end. Sunset is just the fancy word the legislature uses.
Yeah.
And they've already approved the city of Fergus Falls to use this funding mechanism, so that step's already been handled. But the library renewal tax has gone off. That ended at the end of September
30th.
So people might not realize that they've already ended that sales tax, and that has to be off for 1 year. So the soonest that the city could put the sales tax back on, again, if this is approved, would be October 1st of 2023.
Sure.
I'm not sure the projects would be ready that quickly for funding, because the city, they've got to send out bid documents and hone in on the scope of the projects first. But that's the soonest that it could come back.
And that's definitely a clarification that needs to be made, because I know there's people who have talked about, well, this is ongoing and it just keeps never ending, but it does. It's voted on by the voters for each and every project and has to be approved by the legislature as well. So those are some important pieces that it does end. When the project is finished being paid for, it ends.
And a good analogy is just like if you're borrowing money to pay for a house or a car loan, or let's use the house as an example. You borrow money and then you pay it back a little at a time, and then your house is eventually paid off. So this is the same thing. We just our borrowing at the city is called bonding, and once we use that sales tax, the 1.5 million approximately annually, to pay off the loan that we have or the bonds, like you said, when it's done, it's goes away. Yeah. You said something else that made me think of something I'd like to clarify for your viewers, and that is what projects can be paid for. We said that a long time has gone into planning on these two projects. Initially, we included roads. We hoped that we could take this to the voters to spend local option sales tax on.
Can't do that.
You can't do that.
Right, the state, it doesn't allow that.
They don't allow that. We also looked at some trail projects, and as the price tag for the combined projects would have grown and grown with each sort of a la carte piece of it, the legislature just said, that's too much, that's too long. Because as voters, we're voting on something that will go possibly 25 years into the future, or 15 years, sorry. Math on the fly on a Friday morning, my apologies. But, the new residents need to decide what their priorities are as their futures unfold. So
right, and I think too the legislature is also very keen on keeping the local option sales tax as a funding mechanism for projects of regional significance. So it has to be things that those who are coming to visit Fergus Falls, like me, I'm not a city resident, but I spend a whole lot of money in Fergus Falls, so I'm helping to pay for these things. But again, regional significance, not replacing the water main or the sewer system or those types of things that are specifically for residents.
Right. We have different mechanisms for those pieces. When you talked about a regional significance, one of the things that comes to mind is that Visit Fergus Falls, their board of directors recently approved a resolution of support for both of these projects because they see that these amenities will increase Fergus Falls as a great place to visit. And of course, their mission is to bring visitors to our community, and the more there is to see and do while they're here on vacation or traveling for business, the better. So they're in support of that.
Absolutely, and we have recently, as the chamber, have surveyed our members, and we had nearly a 30% response rate on our survey. Our board of directors will take action on it at our October board meeting, and those results will be announced after the board makes its decision on what to do. But we surveyed our members, very similar to what the ballot questions will be. And those, again, results will be announced a little bit later on, but we should kind of circle back to these are ballot questions.
Right, and one thing is, again, we've said this before, but it's 2 different questions, and it says clearly at the end of each question, you know, that we the city may not impose more than 0.5% of sales tax, regardless of whether one or the other or both projects
It's
pass.
right. It's not a 0.5% each.
It's not a combined tax increase. It's just all that would change if they both pass is the length of time it will take to pay off those bonds.
Sure.
It doesn't double the tax.
Nope. So again, this is on the ballot on Tuesday, November 8th. And Jean, once again, where can folks get information on the different projects?
PlayYourWayFergusFalls.com.
Fantastic. Anything else we should touch on? Well, I think we'll just have to invite you back for another
Let's do that.
opportunity.
Let's do
We
that.
covered a lot today.
We did. Thank you, Lisa.
You bet. We will be right back after a short break.
The ultimate Wi-Fi experience is here with the Park Region My Safety Net app. Welcome home to My Safety Net. The My Safety Net app is designed to easily tailor a custom Wi-Fi experience. The My Safety Net app is simple and intuitive. All features are accessible from the home dashboard. Easily create profiles for people, places, and things. Pause the internet. Set schedules. Run bandwidth tests. Get performance alerts and device statistics. Enhanced features allow you to filter content, prioritize devices and activities, get notified and keep track of web threats, intrusions, and blocked viruses. My Safety Net app. Connect, control, and tailor the ultimate Wi-Fi experience. My Safety Net by Park Region. Call today.
Well, welcome back to Find It in Fergus Falls. I want to thank Jean Bowman with the City of Fergus Falls for being our guest on the show today. And boy, if you're looking at another way to get connected in the community, in addition to watching Find It in Fergus Falls, I invite you to join us for Chamber Cafe. On Thursday, November 10th, we will be downtown Fergus Falls at Otter Cove Children's Museum. The morning kicks off at 7:30 in the morning with the light breakfast. Plus, you'll get to hear from about a dozen chamber members to hear brief updates about what's going on in their organization. So again, check out the chamber's website at fergusfalls.com where you can register and find out more about Chamber Cafe, as well as all kinds of great things going on in our community. I'm Lisa Workman. This has been Find It in Fergus Falls. We'll see you again next week.